Pope Francis has passed away. And if you've read the Bible or ancient Catholic prophecies, this moment might be bigger than you think. Was Pope Francis the final pope? Or is the next pope the last one? Or worse, the false prophet of the book of Revelation, the second beast out of the earth? In Revelation 13, a false prophet is mentioned. He appears like a lamb but speaks like a dragon, performs great signs, even calling fire down from heaven. He leads the world to worship the beast or the Antichrist. He enforces the worship of the image and the taking of the mark of the beast in order to buy or sell. Revelation 13:14. He deceives those who dwell on the earth by the signs he is permitted to perform. This is not merely a political figure, but a supernatural and spiritual deceiver. This idea of a final pope was well documented in a book titled Petrus Romanus, The Final Pope is Here, written by the late Tom Horn and the late Chris Putnam. From the original Latin of the 112th prophecy assigned to the final pope, it says, quote, "In the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there will reign Peter the Roman, who will lead his flock amid many tribulations, after which the seven-hilled city will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge the people." Dr. Horn and Mr. Putnam interpreted this final pope as a world religious leader who may facilitate the rise of the Antichrist. The authors cite some interesting points about Pope Francis, who just passed away at the age of 88. Interestingly, on the Monday after Easter, or Resurrection Sunday, and the same day that Klaus Schwab, the head of the World Economic Forum, officially stepped down,
88 miles per hour!
Pope Francis was the first Jesuit pope. He chose the name Francis after Francis of Assisi, Giovanni di Pietro di Bernardone, or Peter. His ideals were deeply rooted in globalism, climate change, and interfaith unity, things that many conservatives and Christians, even Catholics around the world, were critical of. But the authors of the book clarify, we are not suggesting Pope Francis is the false prophet, but we are saying the stage is now set in a way it has never been before. End quote. They go on to say, quote, "The false prophet who comes in the authority of the Antichrist will not only look like a lamb, he will also work supernatural signs and wonders to deceive the elect. He will likely be a religious leader the world already trusts. The greatest deception will come from someone who seems like a servant of light. The false prophet will unify faiths, validate false miracles, and call it love." End quote. In a DailyMail.com article titled "1,000-Year-Old Prophecy Predicts Next Pope After Francis Dies and Issues a Chilling Warning for Humanity," highlights not only the ideas about the last pope, as outlined in the 12th century prophecy of the popes, but they emphasize the idea of Judgment Day being near. It says, quote, "Many Christians believe the year 2027 could mark the second coming of Christ, when Jesus is said to return to earth to judge the living and the dead. According to the prophecy, that fateful day is now less than 2 years away. Francis, who had been battling respiratory issues for months, died Monday at age 88 of a suspected cerebral hemorrhage, a type of stroke caused by bleeding in the brain. After a traditional 9-day mourning period, the Catholic Church will begin the process of choosing his successor, calling all cardinals from around the globe to Rome for the next conclave. Some people have attributed the cerebral hemorrhage to the mortal head wound of the first beast in Revelation 13. But more interestingly, the Daily Mail highlights something provocative. St. Malachi is credited with creating the prophecy of the popes, which features 112 short, cryptic phrases that allegedly describe each future pope until Judgment Day. According to the final entry surrounding Peter the Roman, the last pope will preside over the church during a time of great turmoil, culminating in the destruction of Rome and the end of the papacy. Some believe the text proclaimed that it had reached its halfway point in 1585, after the first 442 years of predictions. This would make the final year of Malachi's prophecy 2027. And here's where it gets really interesting. Quote, among the many frontrunners to replace Francis are 3 cardinals who each have the name Peter, including Peter Erdo of Hungary, the leading conservative candidate, Peter Turkson of Ghana, a prominent figure in the church's social justice circles, and Pietro Parolin of Italy, one of the most experienced Vatican officials. This article barely touches the surface of how deep and massive this topic is. In the 548 pages of Petros Romanus, The Final Pope is Here, Dr. Horn and Chris Putnam outline all of the intricacies involved with this particular prophecy. And while most people are busy making memes of J.D. Vance, our vice president, who was one of the last people to meet Pope Francis before he passed, it ought to be mentioned that the Vatican and the papacy itself also play a massive role in the topic of aliens or extraterrestrials and disclosure. In Dr. Horn and Chris Putnam's second book, Exo Vaticana, Petros Romanus, Project Lucifer, and the Vatican's astonishing plan for the arrival of an alien savior, they state, quote, the Vatican has positioned itself to be the theological authority if extraterrestrial life is disclosed. What if the coming deception is framed as contact with advanced creators? And later, quote, the return of the Nephilim will be branded not as demonic, but evolutionary, a spiritual upgrade, end quote. With over 1 billion Catholics worldwide, it's going to be interesting to watch who the next pope will become in just a few short days. And what will this pope do? Will he push for a one-world religious interfaith unity between Christianity, Islam, and Judaism? Could ancient discoveries play a role in unifying these 3 monotheistic faiths? Could the Vatican leverage technology and AI to facilitate counterfeit signs and wonders? And with the current culture, with the rise of Nephilim awareness, paranormal obsessions, and ET disclosures, could the Vatican endorse a type of new gospel tied to supernatural entities? Whether you believe the prophecies of the popes or not, one thing is clear. The Bible warns of a time when false miracles, global worship, and a charismatic religious leader will lead many astray. Is your faith secure in Christ amidst all of this chaos coming to the largest institution of faith in the world? Stay watchful.